Contrary to what President Trump's lawyers say, Special Counsel Jack Smith insists there is no reason that federal judge Tanya Chutkan should not sit on the Trump case here in Washington, D.C. On Monday, former President Donald Trump filed a motion asking the judge to recuse herself. The motion reads in part, quote, Judge Chutkan has, in connection with other cases, suggested that President Trump should be prosecuted and imprisoned. Such statements made before the case began and without due process are inherently disqualifying, end quote. So, last night, Special Counsel Jack Smith responded to the Trump lawyers' pleadings. In his reply motion, which reads in parts, quote, there is no valid basis under the relevant law and facts for the Honorable Tanya S. Chutkan, United States District Court for the District of Columbia, to disqualify herself in this proceeding. It goes on to say, because the defendant's motion fails to establish any bias by the court, much less the deep-seated antagonism required for accusal, the court has a duty to continue to oversee the proceeding, end quote. Former federal prosecutor, former assistant DA in Cobb County, Georgia, Francey Hakes, and former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, Jay Town, are back with me. Francey, before we get to the issue of this last thing, the recusal, it just came down that Jack Smith is asking the court for an order here in D.C., narrowly tailored, restricting what the president can say about the case. How in the world is she going to do this? Because, I mean, he needs to avoid threats, obviously, but he's got a First Amendment. He's now talking a whole lot, which is basically trying his case. It's not cross-examined. I mean, what is this judge going to do with this?
Well, I don't even understand the title of Jack Smith's motion. It's a gag order request, which why he didn't put it like that. It's like he's playing hide the ball so that people don't know exactly what it is he's asking for. But you can't gag the president. This is the baggage that you buy when you indict the current candidate running for president of the United States, who's also the former president of the United States. It's a completely unprecedented situation. President Trump argues that it's a politically motivated prosecution, and political speech is the highest protected speech in our country. So I don't know how the judge is going to thread that needle, especially in the face of these other motions that President Trump has made. But I think a gag order in this case in particular is just wrong.
Jay, the judge may want to recuse herself so she doesn't have to rule on these motions, because as Francey says, I mean, I'd get out of Dodge if I started seeing these motions. And actually, you know what, Francey, I didn't understand the title of the pleading either. I read it about 7 times. I thought, what is the special prosecutor saying? But anyway, Jay, your thought on this?
Well, the standard, Greta, is would a reasonable person have doubts that this judge, Judge Chutkan, could be reasonable? And I have doubts. I think a lot of people have doubts.
But that's as to the bias. That's as to the bias. What about this whole issue of gagging the former president? She's got to thread that needle against the First Amendment.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, Jack Smith. You indicted the most famous person on the planet. He's going to make comments about witnesses when those witnesses are on the Sunday news shows making comments about him and his guilt in the J6 case. And that includes my former boss, Bill Barr, my former boss, Vice President Pence, and they're going to continue to talk about Trump, and Trump's going to talk about them. As long as he is not threatening witnesses or inducing others to threaten them, not by their sort of crazy, but actually indirectly, I don't see any legal basis to gag him for anything. He has a right to say what he feels about Jack Smith, this judge in this case.
And the plot thickens. I don't know what they're going to do. Francey Hakes, J-Town, thank you. Have a great weekend. Thank you both.
Thanks.